Welcome back to Yoshi Entertainment, everybody. So, just recently, the internet went up in flames a little bit due to something that happened with Kelly Price, a situation that came up, and her calling herself exposing the gospel industry and people who used to co host with her on the Sunday Best. I'm going to be real honest with y'all. Most of this situation befuddled me quite a bit. How she responded, how the internet responded. Now, there were some people that were not here for what she had to say, but we'll go and break that down in this video, and we're going to start from the beginning because there was levels to this situation that I feel like people didn't really take into account. But anyways, apparently, allegedly, this all started with a happy birthday video. She was filming herself singing happy birthday to her husband, and this man looked like, I'm gonna be real honest, after seeing the video myself, it looked like that man wished he could have been anywhere, literally anywhere except for there. I don't know what was going on. It was very cringe. I had wished that they had not even plagued us with the video to begin with. But he just looked like he was not happy with what was going on. She kept singing happy birthday. He was trying to get her to stop. He even said, listen, I just want to blow out the candles and start to eat my cake before wax drips on it. And right before he can blow out the candles, she stops him so she can keep singing and recording. And he just looked frustrated and upset. And here's my thing when it comes to people and their birthday. If it's somebody who you care about, your friend, your brother, your sister, mom, dad, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, it's their birthday. Don't tell somebody how to handle or go about their birthday unless it's something absolutely crazy like they want to do something just completely unacceptable. But otherwise, it's their birthday, not yours. They should be able to do their birthday, handle their birthday the way they want to. He probably just wanted a quiet birthday outside of social media. Maybe he didn't want to be on camera. Maybe he didn't want to be made to wait to blow out his candles. Again, it's not your birthday, and it seems like she was really doing all this more for herself than she was for him. Because if you couldn't tell by how he was acting that he did not want to do all of that and say, well, you know what, because you don't want to do it and it's your birthday, I'll stop, something's wrong somewhere. Let me just point that out first. And a lot of people had comments to say about that. Some people felt like, oh, well, it seems like he's being rude. He's being disrespectful. She's going out of her way to do all this for him, to pump him up for his birthday. He looks like he couldn't care less. He just wants to be off of the camera or whatever. And other people were pointing out, no, I think the man just wants to have a normal birthday, like I said, and enjoy living in the moment instead of being recorded. Now, some other people were pointing out that they felt like he was being treated like a child, that, maybe he was upset because he just wanted to be like treated like a grown behind adult, like how he is, and that she was low-key kind of treating him, like I said, like a child. Like, it was very indicative of when your parents, give you the birthday and they put the candles in and like, wait, don't blow out the candles yet. That's what it looked like too to me. I'll say that much as well. And a lot of people were commenting on this weird cringeworthy video and how they didn't feel like he was happy during all this, what was going on. And from what I could see, the comments that I did see from that video, from those comment sections, it didn't seem like they were necessarily attacking Kelly Price or dragging her or calling her out of her name. They were just saying, like I said, that this was cringe. He didn't seem like he wanted to go through with and go along with all of this. That sometimes things need to be off social media. You don't have to record and post everything. And that it was an odd moment. And she didn't like that very much, which was understandable, but it was also plain and straight up the truth. Would you rather people say the truth and call things out that they probably should be calling out than them just smiling in your face and act like they don't see what's going on? I wouldn't rather that, but some people would. But she didn't take too kindly to that, and I guess she started going into the comments section and cussing people out and dragging people for filth. And there was some other issue, if I'm not mistaken, that she had commented on where once again she was cussing people out and dragging them for filth. And somebody in the comment section, which is, I guess, the turning point of the situation that caused her to really explode. And I say caused her, but she didn't have to explode the way that she did. But basically confronted her about, okay, don't you sing gospel music? I know you're an R&B artist, and I understand that she said that she did not want to identify as a gospel singer, but that she was an R&B artist who chose to honor God throughout her R&B career. Those were her words, not mine, or a summation, if you will, of her words. I understand that, but at the same time, you're claiming salvation, you're claiming to know God, so you should be an example. Why are you cussing people out and dragging people and talking about people like a dog on the internet over some stuff that's happening that you don't like? She basically said, oh, this can't be the same Sunday best Kelly Price is up here cursing up a storm. That's basically what that one commentator said. And then she just lost her mind and, like I said, ripped this lady to shreds. During the ripping, if you will, she called herself trying to expose people who are current or former judges on Sunday Best. And also, like I said, just cussed this woman out and called her all kinds of names, basically. And if I'm not mistaken, somebody reported her comment, and I don't quite frankly blame them because of the way she handled it. And the other part that befuddled me about all of this was people on Twitter basically laughing about this situation, like making light of it, acting like, oh, well, she roasted her. Yeah, she got her good. And I'm, like I said, befuddled, scratching my head, wondering what part of this is funny and what part of this was right. Because the way that she went in on these people on social media was all the way wrong. There's a part earlier in the article that you see on the screen now where she mentioned that she came from certain parts of the city, that she was raised in certain places, that she came from certain backgrounds, and that, she has a lot of trauma. She's seen a lot behind closed doors, that she is she felt like she was at the bottom of the totem pole. And I've talked about this before because of racism, colorism, her being a dark-skinned black woman, and added on top of that, a plus-size black woman. Now, I said in the previous video that I made about the whole thing with the TD Jakes allegations and the pastors coming out and exposing them and things being put out there that a lot of people are going to be shocked about and they don't want to hear and they don't want to see and accept that goes on behind closed doors. I'm going to say this again. I'm going to repeat it again for this video and concerning this situation. We have to become to the point where we are saved enough and mature enough of individuals, strong enough, vigilant enough to see what's going on, but not let it affect us in a way that we start to turn on other people. We become awful people. We let it traumatize us in a way that causes us to change in a bad way. We cannot afford to let the trauma that we have sustained, where we came from, what we went through, cause us to act crazy in certain situations, cause us to act out when things happen, cause us to act in a certain way when we see people doing stuff that they're not supposed to do. Because at the end of the day, when we stand before God, he's going to ask us, how did you respond? How did you react? He's going to hold those people accountable for what they did to whoever they did it to, and to you if they did it to you as well. But you're going to also be held accountable for how you responded, for what you said, for what you did, and all of that. God is not taking any excuses of, oh, well, God, I grew up with trauma and I had this and I had that. Like, we understand that. We're going to talk about that. We're going to call out what's wrong, but we have no excuses to act crazy or to do stuff that's not right because of our trauma or what somebody else has said or did. And that's what I see when I see the situation. She is using excuses like her trauma, amongst other things, to justify what she has done, what she is saying, what she is doing, and her lack of a truly godly lifestyle. Because if you really love the Lord, and she was talking about how she fears God and all that kind of stuff, if you really had a reverence for God and you really loved the Lord and you were walking with God and you're claiming salvation, you wouldn't be out here responding to everything that everybody says. You would not be that triggered by what somebody says. You wouldn't be out here cussing people out and calling them outside of their name because of something that they said that really wasn't disrespectful, that was actually calling you out once again for your lack of a godly lifestyle and for holding you to a higher standard, because that's really low key what that person did. Like, I get real sick or tired, I said this before, people playing in our faces and acting like they can just do whatever they want to and still claim salvation. Still claim that they're a good example. Still claim that they're godly. No, you can't. It's called a straight and narrow path for a reason. This is also where I'm going to acknowledge that people make excuses and justify what they want to for who they want to when they want to. Because had it been somebody else, they would have said, oh, you're a hypocrite. You're supposed to be this saved, man, woman of God, etc. But you're over here making mistakes because you're only human, that you did repent for and you got up and you kept going, or you were trying to keep going. But then when it's somebody who they like or who they support, they justify their lack of living a godly lifestyle. And I'm not talking about somebody messed up once again and they repented and then they got back up and they started back to living a safe lifestyle again. No, I'm talking about somebody who's making blatant justifications for doing and saying things that they shouldn't, for behaving in ways that they shouldn't, while also, like I said, trying to claim that they know God, that they have a fear and reverence of God, that they are claiming salvation. Once again, I'm going to shut down the excuses of, well, she came from this lifestyle, she came from this background, she was raised in this kind of household. Once again, when you have decided to follow Christ, when you have decided to pick up your cross and follow God, when you have an actual relationship with Him and you're walking close to Him, there are some things you will be able to handle and respond in a mature way to that other people who are not walking close to God, who really do not have a genuine relationship with Him and who are not as godly as they should be, will not be able to respond to, at least not in a mature fashion. And I'm gonna always go back to that advice I gave before, not letting our trauma and our background, who we are, what we look like, negatively shape our reality, cause us to be negative people, cause us to respond in negative ways in situations. You ought not let your trauma and your background control you to that degree. Now, the really sad part about all of this is because, the mess doesn't stop there. After she got done cussing people out and dragging them for filth, she went on to live and made a whole video and basically insinuated, alleged that everybody, except for her, mind you, who was a part of the Sunday Best, the judges, her co-hosts, were out there doing debaucherous acts, allegedly sleeping with people who were not their spouses, even though some of those Sunday Best co-hosts were not even married, but that's neither here nor there. She threw out some serious accusations, and she was talking about how all this stuff goes on in the gospel world, and at this point, we should all know this by now. It's like, tell us something that we already knew without telling us. We already know that, unfortunately, stuff that should not be happening in the gospel industry happens in the gospel industry, just like it happens in the secular industry. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't some people in the gospel industry who are for real about their walk with Christ, because there are some people in the gospel industry who are for real about their walk with Christ. They are about that life. They are actually saved and they're living a godly life. They're not out here screwing around with people that's not their spouses, touching little kids and doing stuff they're not supposed to be doing. And I'm not going to sit up here and act like just because a lot of people, unfortunately, are not doing the right thing in the gospel industry, in the church world, that there's no good people out there in the church world, because that's blatantly not the truth. Once again, that comes with the territory of not letting what we see every day negatively shape our views. Yes, we got to know there's bad people out there, but we can't sit up here and act like there aren't any good people in the world. Trust me, this world would be a whole lot more wicked if there weren't. But anyways, I got off on a whole tangent, y'all. Anyways, like I was saying, she was exposing all this information, like I said, that most of us already know anyways. And it kind of rubs me the wrong way when these people, they sit up and they know this stuff. She was in the same industry that she called herself exposing, but now it's convenient for her to expose it now. Like, you want to talk about people who, like I said, it's convenient for them when it's convenient for them. Because I've been speaking on a lot of people who came out when they could, when it was safe for them, like Cassie and some other people. But now we need to talk about people who I feel like honestly came out and exposed what they wanted to, when they wanted to, because it was convenient. She was there right in the middle of it, and she also talked about how there were these people who she was mentioning who was messing with children, allegedly. But you saw this going on, you knew it was happening, and you waited until it was convenient to say something about it. Low-key, we could call you complicit, because once again, I've said this before, when the children are involved, y'all got me all the way messed up. Because if I was anywhere around that situation, you think I would have sat there and watched that go on? Oh, absolutely not. And then waited until it was convenient, until I was triggered. Because people were pointing out the fact that the only reason why she mentioned this stuff was to low-key get back at all those people who were calling her out about that birthday video, because she was mad. She was mad because these people had legitimate opinions about that birthday video, that they had the right to speak. And here's another thing that I can't seem to wrap my head around. If you don't want people to say something about it, why post it on the internet? This is why we keep saying not everything is for the internet, and some people just need not to post stuff. We all have this thing called freedom of speech, and we can post what we want to according to the guidelines on these platforms. People also have that same freedom of speech to say what they want to about what you post. So if you're that type of person who's not going to like what somebody might say about what you might post, why in the world are you posting it? She's been around for how long? She should know this already. Like, I'm starting to question her maturity in this situation. And this is also where the befuddlement for me was coming in, because I was trying to understand, okay, if you didn't like the way they were responding, why didn't you just take the video down? Better yet, you didn't have to post it at all, but you could have just took the video down if you didn't like what they were saying, or muted the comments. But she chose smoke instead with these people to go back and forth with them. And once again, let me remind y'all that these people really were not going at her crazy, especially the way she came at them. They were just pointing out again how cringeworthy the video was and how odd it was and how it didn't seem like he wanted to be there. These people really didn't go in on her. But for some reason, when it came to this dude, her husband, she snapped at these people. I don't know what the issue is. I don't know where the butthurtedness came from concerning this. I get it, some people feeling a kind of way when it comes to their spouse. But once again, I'm questioning her godliness, first of all, and her maturity, second of all, because I don't care who it is, you should still maintain some kind of level of maturity with your reaction, your response to what somebody says, especially if it really wasn't that bad and people calling you out for what you really low-key did wrong. While there were some people who were here for her, like I said, exposing these people, a lot of people called her out at the same time and said, we're not here for this. And they really weren't buying it 2 for $1, 3 for $1 for that matter. They were saying, first of all, the way you went in on those people, again, was unnecessary, that it was wrong, that it was giving bully mean girl, and that they said they really weren't surprised because allegedly this woman was real mean and nasty when she was on Real R&B Divas, whatever that show was called. They said that she had a reputation, allegedly, for being very disrespectful, very mean-spirited, and very rude to people on that show. There were even people who alleged they met her in real life and that she was mean-spirited. So they weren't surprised, some people, by her actions in this situation. And there were 2 other things that people called her out on the carpet for. One was, first of all, how you gonna throw your co-host under the bus like that? Now, don't get me wrong, if they were out here doing wrong, then somebody needs to blow the whistle on them. Y'all know that's what I stand for. If somebody's out here committing atrocities in the community, that includes the church as well, they need to have the whistle blown on them as well and be held accountable for their actions as well. But if she was just saying this because of her misguided anger and because she was trying to get back at these people after all this blew up, first of all, she's in the wrong again, especially if what she said wasn't true about all of them. Because like I said, she made it seem like all of them were guilty of these transgressions. And I can, thinking of some past people who were judges on that show, I can, I can say, okay, I can believe that about some of them, but to make it seem like all of them were doing the same thing, now people are speculating and thinking things about some of these people that might not actually be true because she refused to actually say who it was. Now, I know a lot of people were trying to compare this to, the previous situation with Christian Keys, but at least he narrowed it down. For the most part, we all know who he was talking about, but she kept it to a list of people, if you will. And people have been, looking up who the hosts have been, speculating, like I said. But if she said this, once again, to get back at them, her exposing them wasn't genuine. It really shows her lack of character and what kind of person she is deep down inside. And second of all, I really hope that what she said about them is the truth because one, they can get exposed and finally get held accountable for their actions, but we all have to say allegedly, remember that. And two, because if it's not the truth, at least about some of them, she could literally get sued for defamation. I hope she knows that. And the other thing people were calling her out on, and I'm so glad that they did point this out and call her out for it, was when she said, okay, people were saying, who was it then? Who are you talking about? And then she wanted to fall back on the cheeky response of, oh, I'm not going to say, y'all are going to have to pay me. I'm going to have to be paid to say that. And low-key, that can also be interpreted as extortion. That's a word that a lot of people have been throwing around on people who I felt like shouldn't have had it thrown around on them. But low-key, that could be kind of like, interpreted as extortion. Like, to me, it's giving, she's sending a message to who she's really talking about. Hey, write me a check and I'll be quiet basically about what you did. Otherwise, I'll, continue to expose you. That's what it really sounds like to me, which really makes her no better than the people who are doing what they're doing, especially like people are pointing out if she's telling the truth about what people were doing involving children allegedly. That really makes her no better. Almost worse, really, because if she knew something inappropriate was happening with children, adult was out here doing something they had no business with a child, and she was just sitting on that information and didn't report that, that makes her no better. Low-key, she just exposed herself if that's the case as well, right along with the rest of them. Because we've been saying all this time, if you're there and you've seen it and you didn't do anything about it, low-key, by default, that makes you complicit. And then on top of that, she said she wasn't going to say anything unless she got some coins. So that's just raggedy. That's really raggedy and disrespectful. Like, I don't think people understand how awful that really is. Like, what she really did, like, the whole of it, to be completely honest, And on top of that, I don't think that she realizes how fatal a situation like that can turn. Like, people forget, especially with like these gospel artists, that there are some very rich and powerful people behind some of these individuals, or that they are the rich and powerful person. And that low-key, you put a target on your own back, not just physically, but let's be honest, spiritually. Spiritual warfare, you're involving yourself in when you sit up and say, oh, I know dirt about you and I can tell the whole world, but not if you give me some money. Again, I don't think she really understands the danger she could be putting herself in, if y'all get my drift. Like, that's just not a smart thing. Like, now I'm questioning her intelligence, because that's not something that a woman, especially a woman of God or a godly woman or somebody, once again, who's claiming to fear God, should be doing. Once again, like this person commented, she really tried to come out and act like the hero for exposing these people, but really only exposed herself as one of those people who only expose people when it's convenient for them, who only expose people whenever they're in hot water or they're receiving negative publicity. And also to get back at somebody else, again, in some kind of misguided anger, misdirected anger that she needs to have for somebody else. And also this kind of pride that she has in exposing people in the church and the, gospel world. Like, I've said this before, I don't really like to use the word vibes, but, I use it to get the point across. Like, I get the vibes, once again, that she takes pride, like a lot of people do, in exposing people who I guess a lot of people looked up to. Like, I don't understand, like, where in somebody's sick and twisted mind they should get off on that, but that's what it seems like to me. Like, if you're going to come out and expose somebody, do it because it's the right thing to do, not because you want to slaughter people's feelings or get somebody back, or because, it's no longer convenient for you to sit on the information. But do it because it's the right thing to do. But that's why people were calling her out and saying, no, this is not genuine at all, because you only did this for you, to make you feel better, to get back at people, because it was good for you. Anyways, one last thing I wanted to point out, that I want to bring out and remind everybody of, only because the internet has receipts and because they're petty and so am I. This is the same Kelly Price who, like 2 or 3 years ago, where she allegedly went missing? And like everybody was worried and, oh my God, where is she? Put out the, missing person alert, only to find out that she just popped up out of nowhere and was like, oh, I was fine. I just turned my phone off, or whatever it was that she said to justify what happened. And people were asking her, what in the world happened to you? Anything could have happened. You could have been, getting your organs harvested for all we know. We were just worried about you. And she was acting like everybody was crazy for worrying about her. I feel like people should have had some kind of foresight that something like this was going to happen after that situation. Like, that was a red flag right there. And I think it had something to do with her falling off the map because she just wanted to get away from her family. Something to that degree, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm not saying that every celebrity or person with a large following has to send us out a news flash whenever they just want to take a step away. But you can't be mad at people, or you shouldn't. You shouldn't be mad at people for being concerned when something shady happens, or clearly something is wrong or amiss, and they don't understand. They're asking questions. But like I said before, everybody should have knew then and there that something was wrong somewhere. I done said it with these other secular celebrities. I'm going to say it with her as well. When they show you who they are, believe them the first time and then act accordingly. But anyways, y'all let me know what y'all think of all of this absolute hot pot of a mess down in the comments below, respectfully. I'm probably going to upload a podcast about this situation on Patreon, because there's some more stuff I want to say about this, but I'm not going to say it on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Y'all all have a safe, blessed, and happy day.